Okay, so I'm hoping you guys can hear me okay, because I have to record on my phone because, well, my cats ate my headphone set that I had on my mic. They just tore it to pieces. They had a fun time with it because it's gone. So point is, I have to use my phone now. But I wanted to do a little rant because I just feel like there's a lot of negativity in the community right now still. I feel like a lot of people are kind of getting through that phase, if you will. But there's still a lot of the older gamers that still are kind of stuck in this mindset. And that's my main audience right now. Because I'm an old gamer. I've been playing since... I've been playing for a long, long time. I'll just say that I have been playing for the total of 11 years. I don't want to give the exact date that I started. I don't feel like that's anyone's business. But I have been playing for 11 years. I have been in this game for an extremely long time, since the very beginning. And so I've seen all the different ways this game has changed. And in the past, there have been opinions that I have agreed on when it comes to my fellow colleagues and the sense of those that were there in the beginning. And there are things I do not agree with and have not agreed with through the years. However, lately, I have understood where everyone's coming from in the older player base, if you will, and I say that with parentheses because that's not a reference to their age, that's just a reference to how many years they've been playing when I say the old player base. But there's a lot of things that I see where they're coming from when it comes from the characters to how they look to the fact that it's not the, as I quote, same star stable. They're taking the old one away, giving us a new product, all the things you've seen online. There's a lot of things I want to cover. The first thing I want to cover is the fact that I've been seeing how people have been criticizing the changes in this game, and I don't agree with not necessarily their viewpoint, because we are all entitled to our viewpoint. But what I don't agree with is the fact that people want to put things up on their channel about these newer games that are coming out or being released, and they're saying better than Star Stable, or this is the game of the year, or things to somehow down the idea of playing SSO. I don't believe that is right to do that. To compare one game to another. I don't care what game it is. I don't care if it's Red Dead against Guild Wars 2. I don't care if it's, SSO against some other, horse game. It doesn't matter. The point is, if you compare any game to another game, you're not being fair. And you're not being fair because that game is its own entity. Like, that's its own thing. It's like comparing two different types of shoes. Of course, they're going to be different because it's not the same shoe. Of course, the games are going to be different because they're not the same game. You get my point? So I don't feel like it's really fair for people to be going out there and advertising, oh, this game is better than SSO, because that's giving the wrong idea. That's downplaying and degrading SSO unfairly, because SSO is a whole different game than the game you're comparing it to, even if it is another horse game. So I don't agree with that. I also don't think that it's right, and that's why I'm saying something about it, because people really need to realize how important it is, especially, I'm going to emphasize that, especially these, if I will, more popular YouTube video people who post these videos. They need to be really careful, really careful when they've got that audience that's listening to them on what they say and what they do, because they have a lot of people they are influencing, hence the word YouTube influencer. They are influencing people's thoughts and decisions, and therefore their actions when it comes to certain products that they are posting on their YouTube channel. So they need to be very careful about how they word things and what they do. And a lot of these people, unfortunately, they're kids and maybe they don't realize it, but they need to be careful how they word things, because I've seen a lot of degrading and a lot of things advertised in ways that are inappropriate, quite honestly. And I know they didn't mean to be that way. Maybe they don't realize the demeaning tone of their advertisement when it comes to titling a video in a certain way. But your tone, not just what you say, but how you say it, really impacts people. And we have to be really careful about how we're saying things, not just what we're saying. When we post a video, when we title it, the content in the video, all that stuff really matters to people. And I see the SSO community not really grasping that concept when they're saying things. I guess what I'm saying in that line is, in that comment is, I know that a lot of these people that are doing these things don't intend to, but they're still doing them even though they're unintentional, because they're not aware of how it's coming across to people. I'll put it that way. That's what I mean. So another thing I want to go over is, I'm sorry, I'm actually playing the game while I'm doing this, so it's a little, distracting. But another thing I wanted to go over is I was looking on here after I did a championship of Tabletop Village, and on one of my other accounts that I'm on, because I have a lot of accounts, I am actually trying to improve it in the sense of progress it. I'm trying to get through everything. And I just opened up Redwood Point. And I remember every time I go to Redwood Point, I always think about how there's never anybody there. There's never anybody there. And I know that there's other factors, like, people haven't unlocked it and this and that and whatever not. But for the most part, I always come back to how I heard a lot of people for a while there. I'm not sure if it's still true. But guessing how empty it is, I'm guessing that it is maybe partly still true with the older audience. But a lot of people were saying at one point that they didn't like it because they felt that it was a rip-off another game. And lately, this has been a thing where people have been wanting to somehow complain and criticize SSO for taking ideas from other areas. Whether that be other games or whether it be other sources in our society, they want to go ahead and they want to criticize, it almost seems like almost every little thing about the game. But let me remind you guys, okay, about that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree that that is right to hate on a game because it's a, as I quote, rip off another game, as a lot of people were saying. Because of this. If you think back to the Star Stable series that you see a lot of these older players going back to because it's like the old Star Stable, that's my point right there. If you think about it, SSO, Star Stable Online, is a rip off another game in the very thought of it before it was even produced. Because it's derived and from the original Star Stable series. Therefore, that's a whole different game. I mean, if we want to claim that SSO is different from Star Stable and that original series, then those are two different games. Therefore, that would mean that Star Stable Online is a rip-off another game. Oh, but that's why we loved it though, right? But all of a sudden now, because of an area that we want to criticize, that we don't like in our opinion, we want to get down on that very reason why we loved the game to begin with? No, that doesn't make any sense, does it? The whole beginning of SSO was off Star Stable. It came from another game. So does it make any sense to then hate on it for coming from other ideas in other parts of our society and other games when it already started that way? Besides, I think of it like this. It's no different than a photographer or an artist or any kind of person who creates anything, okay? Because when you create something, even if you love doing Breyer horses and you're painting a horse, you're painting that horse from what? From another source. whether it be the idea of a horse that you liked in real life and you altered it to something that you like, you still got that from somewhere, is my point. And any artist is going to get their idea from other things. I mean, that's what we call being inspired, is because we got an idea from something else. That's the same thing with SSO. They got inspired by something else in our society that has really impacted people, and they wanted to put that in their game. That is totally fine, because you know what? That is part of being an artist. I mean, even these really famous artists that we have, Monet and all these other people, they got Thomas Kincaid. I mean, all these people we really, really like in history of being an artist, they got their ideas from other sources. That's what made them so great, is because they took their ideas from other sources and they developed on that, made it their own, and therefore grew, and matured in their artistry, if you will, of creating. And that's what you do. As an artist, you take ideas, you share ideas, you learn, you grow, and you develop your art. And game designers are a type of artist. And if it's no problem if they want to be like any other artist out there. If we're going to fault them for that area, we might as well fault every single artist out there, because every single artist does it. It's human nature. We need to stop faulting the people and the company of this game and holding them to a higher standard than all the other game companies. This is not fair. If we're going to start criticizing this game for things like that and for having bugs, then we might as well start criticizing RDR 2 for having a bunch of bugs. We might as well start criticizing Guild Wars 2 for having a lot of bugs. We might as well start criticizing horse riding trails or whatever, tails or whatever it's called. My point is, we might as well start criticizing all the other games out there that we currently, might I add, are not criticizing. Those are games that everyone wants to hold up and respect, and they want to compliment. But yet, when it comes to SSO, all of a sudden, oh, that's a whole different story. No, it's not. It's the same thing. If we're going to criticize one thing that's the same as everything else, we might as well criticize it all. Otherwise, if we're not going to criticize the other ones, I don't feel we personally have any business to be criticizing SSO. They are the same type of game as any other game, because why? They are a company. They are a company producing money like all the rest of them. They are getting their ideas from other sources like all the rest of them. They have bugs and glitches they are fixing and getting through like all the rest of them. Do you get my point? I'm getting so sick and tired of the negativity in the SSO community throughout all the years that I have been in this game. That's 11 years I have heard negativity. I am tired of it. We are criticizing this game for things that are the same as other games, but yet not criticizing them. If we're going to criticize something, for one, make it constructive criticism. Or two, don't say anything at all. Because the only thing that we're criticizing are things that aren't really worth criticizing. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. I mean, really honestly, these are not issues we need to be focusing on. I mean, it comes down to even the Starcoin price. I mean, they're a company going through inflation. They need to be able to keep afloat. Do you like playing Star Stable Online? Then their prices are going to rise so that they can continue to keep running the game. If they don't raise their prices, guess what? There's going to be no SSO. End of story. It's one or the other, So of course they're going to rise their prices. Have the other games raised their prices in a way, give or take? Yes. With the new stuff that they've had come out, with the in-game purchases have risen in other games as well. It's because of the inflation. It's because of the economy. Like anything else out there, they have to go with whatever direction the economy is going in. That shouldn't be a surprise, and yet here we all bitching about it. Excuse me, French, if you will. But seriously, what is wrong with us, SSO community? Why are we being in this bracket of holding SSO to a different standard than all the rest of them when SSO is the same as the rest of all the games out there in one way or another? If we're going to back SSO up and we're going to play the game and support this game, then let's really support it. They have lately been really trying. Let's show them that their effort means something. How can they know they're doing right if we're always criticizing them and telling them that they're doing wrong? Let's also point out the good things that they're doing, not just all the bad things we don't like. And that's what it comes down to. It's just things that we don't like, personal preferences. Are we going to criticize the other games because there's personal preferences that we would like to see in the game and they don't have it yet? I don't see that happening to any other game. We're willing to accept that it's a different game and so it's not going to have everything that we want. Well, then why can't we put that ideology to SSO? Same difference with them. I mean, even now today, I just did the new Loretta race that they have, which basically is the old race we used to have a long time ago, back in 2011, 2012. And they, of course, put a few new jumps and stuff in there to make it more challenging. But the route of it, the actual blueprint of the direction you're going in that race is off the old one. It's the exact same thing. The only thing different is they added new jumps to it. I like that. Because for one, you have something old you're familiar with, but with a twist. Because you have something new that they put into it to make it a little bit more challenging, to make it a little bit more different. I like that. I like how they are improving off of the old. So they're still giving us old aspects that we loved about the old SSO, but putting a new, fresh, turn on it. And I like that because it keeps the game fresh and it keeps the game new and it keeps the game engaging. And that's what we want. They are being open on their newsletter, not the news, mind you. I've noticed that a lot of people are not aware of the newsletter, but they have the news on their website and then they have the newsletter on their site. And the newsletter goes into more depth than the news does. So if you're not aware of that, comment about it. I'll let you know how to get to it. But my point is they're being really upfront about what they're planning on doing, how they're planning on going forward, how they're planning on improving the game. They are leaving old things in the game that we've had before, like the old Baroness race. They didn't take that out completely. They put that back in there after they changed the Baroness's racetrack. And so they're starting to do stuff like that. Now they've given us the old Bobcat race. And, these characters that people want to complain about, they were just beta. They were not complete products. They were not finished. They were still moving forward with them. There's going to be, 6 base ones that everyone wants to complain about. But then there's going to be more that are added with different body types and different muscle structures later on. Those are whole new body types. And so they have to literally recreate the whole thing and then fit all the mechanics and all the codes in to make that function in the game. And so that takes a lot more than using something you already have and improving that. And so that should make sense to a lot of people. And so that's why those other body types have not been added at this time. But they will be added later on. And so what we see right now with what we had seen with the character beta testing and the body types is not where it's going to end. Let me say that again for all the complainers. That's not where it's going to end. There's going to be more body types in the future. Did you hear me? We have an awful lot of complainers who were complaining about the body types. I want to make that clear. More body types and versions are coming. But right now, they're only going to deal with the ones they already had because it's going to be easier for them to be able, not easier in the sense that it's going to be easy, it's still really hard because they still have a lot of codes, but it's going to be easier than creating a whole new body type that was not in the game. So They're just starting as a base with those 6 fire types. But more will be coming. I really want to iterate that because a lot of people were complaining about that, and they've already said that there's going to be more. So I'm not quite sure why a lot of people were confused on that. But I want to make sure people aren't confused on that if they listen to my video. I do have a little bit of an audience, and so I wanted to get that out there. Maybe we can help spread the word if we hear someone complain about it, just to let them know, hey, more are coming in a nice way. But anyways, so they are going to be improving this game going forward, and I think they're doing a good job. I think overall they're doing a really, really good job, and that's my opinion. I know not everyone's going to share it. There's always going to be something, though. I'm going to end the video with this. There's always going to be something. I don't care what game it is. There's always going to be something that can be improved, and there's always going to be something that you want in the game that's not going to be there. That's just the reality of this world. Not anything in this world is perfect. We all have flaws. Every product has flaws. That's life. You're not going to find a game that's going to have absolutely everything you could ever want in it. That's not reality. And so we need to be appreciative of what the game offers us that we do enjoy about it. And I believe that mentality would go a long way with this community if they put that to SSO like they do all the other games I see them commenting on. So I really hope that a lot of people hear this, and I really hope that a lot of people think about it, because the negativity in this community is toxic, and I think most of it's coming from the older players, which really saddens me, because as an older player, we should be there encouraging the younger ones who are playing and the new ones who are coming to the game for the health of the game, because we make up a big portion of this community. We are not helping this game that we are claiming to love. And we're not helping the community, then we're not helping the game, and therefore we share in part of the responsibility of this community not being more healthier and more successful. Even if it's an indirect and small part, we still play a part. Because how we behave and how we act and what we comment on the game is going to impact other people, and therefore that's going to impact other people, and that's going to therefore impact other people. You get my point? Like, it keeps going out. And then that becomes a community of people. And that community of people is then going to influence the game. Because you can't have a game without players. And you can't have players without a game. We need to think about our actions, think about how they might be affecting other people. We can have different opinions from each other. We can have things about the game we don't like, but it doesn't mean we need to focus on that and make an issue out of that by constantly going over the fact that we're not happy about this one feature. We can say, hey, I don't like this. This is why I don't like this. This is my opinion, but the game is doing a good job in these other areas. Because a lot of young viewers who are just trying to figure out what they think are going to be influenced by that. And I don't want the dying community that I see in this game to affect the game any more than it has. We need to be a little bit more positive in this community so this game can be healthy and it can stay active and stay here and not disappear because it's dying. You get my point? We all love this game. There's going to be things about it we don't like. Heck, there's things about it that I don't like. But we love it enough to continue to keep playing it, so that must mean something, right? Let's be a little bit more positive about this game community. And dear fellow old players, let's be a little bit more thoughtful to the new people that are playing this game, or the younger ones that are playing this game, if we could, please, because they watch our channels as well. And I would really appreciate any feedback you have. If it's a conflicting viewpoint, put it in the comments tactfully, please. And if you have any criticism, make it constructive, whether it's for me or whether it's for the game itself. Even if you're talking to support, it doesn't matter. Please make it constructive. And by constructive, I mean helpful. You can say that you don't agree with something in a tactful and kind way. You don't have to be mean or bitchy or, nasty about it. And you can say you don't like something and then give an idea of how it could be improved. That's constructive criticism. Share your idea of how you think it could be improved, because that's going to help more than just sitting there saying, I don't like this. If we did that more as a community, I can really see this community getting better and then therefore a bit more healthier. If we all try to pull together as a team, as a community, we can go places and we can make this better, because it shows right now that SSO is listening to us. So this is what we've always wanted, right? Let's make the best of this by being as positive about it as we can be and getting our ideas out in a nice, constructive way so that we can progress this game forward and be a good part of this game and be in a good community. That is what we love about some of these other games, is that the community is so nice to be in and be a part of. That makes up a big part of our game experience. Let's be that kind of community. Thank you for listening. I know this was really long. I feel it needed to be said. So I appreciate you listening thus far. I hope you all have a very good day. Thank you. Bye.